Aqua here. Welcome back to another recap. Today, we actually have a lot to recap. I think we've got 4 boots to recap. We got the final 13 vote, final 12, the new final 12 vote, and finally the most recent one, the final 11 vote. So let's get into it. So when we left off, we were at Redemption Island with, I believe it was probably Lucas, Renji, and Ego. What happened there was Ego got eliminated um, in 16th place, and then Lucas got 15th on Redemption. Renji got 14th, and yeah, but we'll get into the other people next. So that's what happened on Redemption basically. So at the final 13 vote, Bryce ended up being voted out, and he was kind of robbed. I think it was just original Seam Wing tribe kind of blindsided him, and it looked like it could be Cooper going home, but instead it was Bryce voted out. So Bryce was definitely robbed, but we'll see in a second. He might get back in. He does end up getting back into the game. Um, and yeah, I think Bryce has done really well, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so Bryce gets voted out, and then we go to the next tribal council, and Jagger gets voted out. Now, Jagger was kind of being, or Jagger, or we're not sure how to say it exactly, but Jagger was kind of rubbing people the wrong way, it felt like at times. So it was not a huge surprise that he was voted out. And yeah, but then in the Battle Back Challenge, Bryce made it back. Jaeger got Jaeger got 13th, and yeah, then we got to the merge where we got final 12. So at this point, we had 4 returning players, which were Quor, Sub, Bagels, and Tien, and also 8 new players. Now, I think a common theme we're going to see, and a common theme that we ended up seeing, was that these returning players are going to get targeted pretty heavily, which I think a lot of us expected, but we didn't expect it maybe at this rate, because there are, in any season like this, there's people that want to work with the returnees, but I don't know, I think it just didn't work out this time. But yeah, we had, oh wait, okay, yeah, we had a immunity challenge where Tien was the winner, and Tien is going to win these first 2 individual immunity challenges, and I don't know how that's going to work out for him in the long run, because I feel like without those, I feel like Tien is not getting targeted. He is by and away the least threatening at this point of the returnees, and I think that's a good thing for him. But we could start to see if he goes on an immunity run, if he wins this next one, which I don't think he will since it's the auction, but he might. If he goes on this immunity run, even if he like is safe this round, I feel like that's a reason for people to target him on top of the fact that he's a returnee. So I think that's going to be super dangerous for him. But if he can make his way out of that hole, I think he could do well, and I think he's going to be probably the last returnee standing. And I also think he could make it back from Redemption and even go on a run and end up winning. But yeah, today I'm going to do rankings because I feel like I've gotten enough of a sense about people so far that I can probably do rankings at this point. So yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, let's get to the first merge vote. Now, it sounded like the person that gets voted out here, which is Core, was kind of playing all sides, which was not great for him. And he was actually trying to target Bagels, a fellow returning player, and just be on both sides. He ended up exposing the original Seam Wing Alliance, which is him, Phones, Arid, let's see, Phones, Arid, Caroline, just people from the original Seam Wing. And I think that alliance, somebody from that alliance is probably going to win this season, honestly. But we'll see how that goes. But I think somebody from that alliance is probably going to win this, just because at this point they have control in the numbers and they are getting targeted a little bit, but really not enough for other players to mount a majority against them. But I mean, I still think they could be taken out, so we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, Core ends up getting voted out here. And let's talk about Core on the season. And actually, I'm gonna have an. All right, so yeah, let's talk about Core on this season, and also let's talk about this vote out here. Now, for me, when I originally made my projections preseason, I had Bagels coming in at 11th. Uh, I think I said he was going to get voted out pre-merge and then make it back, and then not be able to make it back into the game, get like 11th overall. But Bagels managed to make it pre-merge. Um, but I still think he could get 11th if he gets voted out next. But anyway, I think that Core he he's one of the most recent players, and I don't know if recency seriously affected this, but I think it did help out TN a lot, just because I don't think TN is seen as, I don't even know if certain people see him as a returnee as much as some other players, just because, well, a lot of us weren't here for TN season, and TN isn't super big in the community, so I don't think people see TN as big of a threat as I think he could be. That's why I think he's gonna be the last returnee standing. But Core is the highest placing returnee. He came in 13th, or no, he came in 8th place back in season 3, and even though I don't think his game is extremely impressive, I think Mew did a lot of the work for him. But I think that Core is very good, very social, and Core on any season that he plays in is always going to be a tribe player. He's always going to be helping out the tribe, and I think that's what makes him a player that is likely to make the merge. I feel like most of the time, um, whereas some other players, it's less likely for that to happen. But I mean, I don't see the benefit of taking out Core pre-merge ever really for anyone, just because he's always going to be helping in challenges. And I think that actually, this came up earlier in the season when we were at the original tribe's original, um, yeah, at the Lucas vote out. So at the Lucas vote out, I think that we saw that people were valuing Core more than Lucas, even if Core was a bigger threat than Lucas in the long run. Um, we saw that happen. So yeah, but Core gets voted out pre-merge here or post-merge here, and yeah, I guess he didn't play this merge vote super well. I haven't been able to keep track of everything completely, but from the looks of things, everything so far in the merge has been kind of a consensus vote, and that's why it's been kind of hard to keep track of. But I think that Core probably tried to throw out some names, and it didn't go over well. And yeah, you can't target certain returnees, and I don't know why he would target the returnees, because if I were one of the returnees, I would not target another returnee until at least late into the game, probably like final six-ish. Um, but yeah, that's how I would feel about it, just because why would you do that? It makes no sense. There's players that, like bigger threats than Core, like Bagels and Sub, I think that should be pretty much indebted to you, if you're keeping them around as a returnee, because they should not vote you out because it's a really bad move for them. I think we saw this happen to the returnees where their group's really going to crumble uh, after this first part of the merge. But yeah, it's interesting. But I think Core always plays a social game, and yeah, I think he did decently so far, and I think he does have a chance to get back in, though I don't particularly see it happening. But I would not be surprised if he can make it back into the game. And I think if he does, if he integrates back in with like Seam Wing, like if he's at the end with like, well, maybe not Arid because Arid doesn't really like him, but like certain players, I think that might go well for him. And I think from that point, he could probably still make it back into the, well, reintegrate himself with the tribe. So yeah, but So yeah, the alliance on Seam Wing, by the way, is Arid, Envious, Phones, and Caroline. And I think, I mean, at this point, it doesn't seem like Caroline is doing that much. I really think that Phones is set up super well to win this game. At first, I wasn't sure because Phones was kind of being over the top, but I think that's just, I feel like Phones is kind of maybe like a Bagels like player almost, um, where Phones is always going to be over the top and stuff. But um, I think that Phones was able to really have good positioning in making those alliances with trying to make alliances with attorneys, having this original C Wing alliance that's going to help him out of four that's just really strong. And also, not all of the four are seriously like, well, okay, Envious, I feel like Envious could also really win this. And Arid, I feel like could win, but at this point, I don't think any of them have really the intention of flipping. Um, I mean, Arid, I feel like is kind of. I honestly think Arid's probably set up for villain of the season at this point, um, by the looks of things. But uh, yeah, I think that Arid probably still wants to take out returnees. He said some stuff about wanting out to take out TN, and probably also he wants to take out Bagels. Um, so yeah, I think that's gonna be interesting. Also to see how that group of four kind of deals with shrinking of numbers or stuff like that. If there's a betrayal happening, which I could see happening from someone like Phones maybe, but right now those four are really controlling the game, and yeah, they don't really need to do anything else at this point. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the second vote of the merge, which was, of course, the sub vote out. Now, here's what happened with sub. So, I think what happened was sub might have been trying to target Arid, and of course, Arid being part of the original Seam Wing Alliance wouldn't let that happen. And also, there was some targeting going on from sub on a bunch of other players, and I think sub was just too much. And yeah, sub got voted out. Um, and I'm pretty sure sub voted for Arid at the end of the day. But yeah, it was an interesting vote. Again, TN wins immunity here, and I think this cements TN's threat level. Just like season two, if I had won that immunity challenge, that second immunity challenge, which I should have, production, I'm kind of mad at you guys for making like a puzzle that takes 2 hours because I absolutely destroyed the puzzles before that, and I should have. I honestly think I should have won that challenge, but uh, it's hindsight. I don't know. It's fine. But anyway, uh, yeah. But I think this cements TN's threat level, so I think TN could be a threat. But I still think if this was Bagels, Bagels would be target number one. I feel like Bagels could still be target number one for the next vote just by fact of being a returnee. Um, but we'll really have to see where this goes. I think that Bryce and Bagels have a good alliance, and I think that's going to be useful. I think also um, we're seeing lots of these smaller alliances. I don't think we're seeing too many apart from the big one, like big alliances happening. And yeah, but there's a few small alliances happening. But yeah, anyway, um, so yeah, that's the sub vote, I guess. Not sure if there's anything else I need to go over. Um, hmm. I feel like I've been a bit late on these recaps, and maybe I haven't paid enough attention to what's really happening in the game, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But now I'll go into my rankings for each of the players, and yeah, I'll also start with number 12. I'm going to do rankings of players on Redemption also. They're going to be at the bottom of the list, but yeah, I'll just do that. So in 12th, I have Core. I don't think Core is going to be able to make it back to Redemption, honestly, at this point. Just given its competition, really. I think it's really steep against people like Sub, and probably possibly other returnees. Like if they target TN here, I mean, is he going to have to go against Sub and TN, the challenge beast. I mean, I don't know if it's going to go well for him, but I would of course love to see him come back. But I think he'll try his hardest, but we'll have to see with that. Then, of course, in 11th place, I've got Sub. Sub's there on Redemption. I think he's got a good shot to make it in. He's definitely going to be back for Vengeance. Um, and I mean, one thing that sets all these returnees apart is we know they're going to put an effort into the game. And yeah, I think that would be cool. I think Sub could make it back. But I think let's just talk hypothetically. If Seb does make it back, I don't know if it's going to go well for him, honestly. I mean, unless he can go on an immunity run, but even then, are people going to want to vote for someone that comes back from redemption? I mean, I feel like that's probably the age-old question at this point, especially given recent stuff with Survivor, like uh, seasons 38 and 40 with Edge of Extinction, Redemption Island. Um, are people going to want to vote for someone that's been voted out of the game? For me, it's mostly a no, but I think there are definitely circumstances and relationships that happen. Like let's say it's season 2. Would I vote for Bagels if he got back into the game? I feel like I would be inclined to, especially depending on who they were facing. So I think it's really circumstantial, but I think Sub's going to have a hard time getting to the final 3 if he does come back. And I think that Core's going to have a way easier time, especially if he reintegrates with certain players. And yeah. But anyway, let's move on to the top 10, the one that you have all been waiting for, people in the game. And how am I going to rank these top 10? Well, at this point, I'm going to rank them based on how likely I think they're going to do one of two things. One is uh, make good moves that are going to help them in the game, and also move on to the next round, and also how likely are they going to be to win. So it's kind of a factor of those both things, I think. Um, but at this point, I would say that in 10th place, I'm going to give it to Cooper. Just because, like, is Cooper going to be voted out? I really don't think so. Um, but yeah, I don't think Cooper's going to be voted out unless they all decide to target him based on the fact that he's just pretty much inactive and um, um, yeah, and based on the fact that he is kind of inactive and his schedule's not working with the hosts and it's just all going wrong. He has 2 strikes. He could easily get striked out in the next vote and yeah, but even if he doesn't, I think it's safe to say that at this point he's not going to be able to win the game just cuz no one is really wanting to take him to the end. Well, I'm sure everyone's wanting to take him to the end. I don't even know if they're going to be able to get him there. But it's possible. But we'll see what happens with that. But I think that, yeah, I gotta give. Uh, okay, 1 second. Yeah, I definitely have to give Cooper 10th right now at this point. So moving on to number 9, I think I give it to Barry. So Barry is not positioned badly, but he's not in like a core group. He's kind of seen as a goat at this point, actually, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to change that. I don't think he's gonna be able to win at this point. I think there's only a few people that can probably win at this point, but yeah, I think it's not only about making it to the end, but also winning. I feel like Barry is not in a good spot to either win or to make it to the end, so I don't really see him being in a spot higher above this. So I've got Barry at 9th place. Moving on to 8th place, I gotta give it to Bagels. Now, here's why. I think Bagels, if he makes it to the end, he can win, but right now he's not in the best spot to make it to the end. But if he does, then I think he's going to win. But again, I think Bagels is going to be a threat every step of the way, and if he can win out, maybe that'll work for him. But at this point, I'm just not seeing it. He's kind of in the minority a little bit, but I think he does have a chance to do well. He's obviously making alliances. He's obviously trying his best, but I don't know if his best is going to be enough against some of the other players, the new players in this season. But we'll just have to see on that one. Seventh, I've got Star. Now, I'm really not sure what is up with Star at this point. Some people are calling him a GOAT, but I don't really see him that way. I think Star could make it far, but he could also go around like 6th, 7th, 8th at this point. So, yeah, but at the end, I don't know if anyone has seen him as a threat at this point, and it's really a fine line of being a threat, but also not getting voted out. So I think if he can manage his threat level, um, which he has been doing, he can make it to the end. But I don't know if he's proven himself as enough of a threat to be the winner of the season. So moving on to the top six. Six, I've got TN. Now I think TN could sneak his way to the end, but he also could not. I think he might not be able to pull off a move like Bagels would, where he's scrambling all the time and switching all this. I'm not sure he's thinking that way. So I've got Tien at sixth, just because I feel like he could just get taken out of the game, not know what hit him, and yeah, I think that could happen. Now we're on to the top five. Let's see, I've got Envious, Arid, Phones, Caroline, and Bryce. Now in fifth place, I gotta give it to Caroline. All of my top three, by the way, are going to be from that original Seam Wing Alliance. Um, yeah, I got Caroline at fifth just because I think Caroline is not making too many blunders, really, and nobody's seeing Caroline as a threat. Caroline, I feel like, could win in certain spots, and especially if Caroline's able to ramp up her game. But at this point, Caroline's kind of a mediocre player, is probably not going to get voted out this time, is probably safe for a while, but just is not going to win. Let's see, what player could I compare her to? Maybe like nah, not Panda. Maybe like Daniel. I don't know. I feel like she's better than Daniel, but yeah, I would give her kind of that sort of positioning right now in the game. Not gonna get voted out though. So then in fourth, I got Bryce. Now here's what I'm thinking about Bryce. I think Bryce is, of course, a really good player. He's proven that time and time again, in my opinion. But I don't know if he can win this just because of two reasons. One, he's a threat, or three reasons actually. One, he's a threat. He's proven to be a good player. He's proven to be smart. Two, he's not in that core alliance at this point. I think that original Seamwing alliance is, of course, going to be core to this game, unless there's something that gets flipped. But I think at least for the next vote or two, that's probably going to prevail. And probably there's going to be kind of an anti-returnee alliance, and then there's that alliance within it. And I think that could really hurt Bryce. But Bryce is making good relationships. I just don't know if it'll be enough, but I think time will tell. Um, Second reason that I have him here is, or no, third reason is that he got voted out. Now, I wonder if this will be held against him at like a final tribal scenario, but I honestly think that it could be. Um, but at this point, if I was a juror, I would vote for Bryce just because he's proven himself enough. But I don't think I would vote Bryce over certain players. But yeah, I think Bryce could win this game, even though he's been voted out. And yeah, also the fact that he was voted out pre-merge helps. Um, and he was only gone for one extra vote, one extra round. So I think Bryce, yeah, he's proven. And I mean, the theme of the season is redemption. If he can redeem himself, I think he can win this game. So yeah, I got Bryce at fourth. Really great spot right now. Um, in third place, I have Arid. Now, Arid's an interesting player where Arid is clearly so far been a villain. I think Arid's going to get villain of the season at this point. Um, he likes to be villainous, it seems. But yeah, Arid has dodged being voted out time and time again, and I don't know if this is going to be it for him. We'll see, but I think he's been a dominant force in controlling votes. Um, well, he's been shown to be a dominant force, almost like a Bagels player, even though Bagels, don't worry, you're good, you're cool. But yeah, I think that I don't know. I think that Arid could be voted out, but I think people are seeing him as probably the figurehead of that Seamwing alliance, which I don't know if that's true. I think it's kind of true, but I really think it's more phones, and then Envious is kind of in the background. Um, but I think Arid could be targeted from that group. He's clearly been targeted like 3 times already this season, but we'll see where that goes for him. But I think if Aaron makes it to the end, he could win. But I do think there's other players that do have better cases against him. Obviously, returning players. I think there's probably a good policy that if you're a returning player and you make it to the end, you have a pretty good shot of winning. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, moving on to the top two. In second place, I have Phones. Now, I think Phones is really playing well. I think he's really the top of that C Wing alliance, and he's also not just excluding him. He's not exclusive to that alliance. I think he's doing well at branching out to other players, working on those other relationships, and I think that's why Phones is really in a good spot to win and really in a good spot to have alliances that are going to keep him around, and people are going to work with him. So yeah, I've got Phones at two. Only one person I think is playing better than him at this point. And well, I'm not even sure if they're playing better, but I think this number one person has the right mix of they're not getting voted out, they can win at the end, and they're having a great shot to make it to the end, and that is Envious. Now, Envious has played kind of an under the radar game, but Envious has kind of played socially, a little bit like Alex, maybe, I don't know. But I think that Envious has made talks with lots of people, probably one of those that makes alliances with everyone. But yeah, I think that that's going to go well for Envious. So yeah, I've got Envious at number one right now. But yeah, I'm about to interview a special person named Quor. Uh, yeah, so I'm going to call up Quor and I'll be right back. We're going to interview him about a few things. Hi everyone, Aquaji here, and today we are being joined by the first person voted out of the Merge Boot host favorite, Quor. Quor, hello.
Hi. It's good. It's not good, but it feels good to be here.
Quor was sadly voted out, but yeah, I'm gonna ask him some questions today. First up, how do you feel about being voted out? What are you thinking right now?
Well, I tried to pull a move that probably wouldn't have worked. So I guess it was expected. I'm still kind of disappointed about it though. Especially being like the
hmm
first merge route, but I don't really know if there's
I mean,
anything I could do to change it
yeah,
right now.
yeah. I mean, the merge boot is pretty highly respected. It seems like, but I have a theory that it's usually whichever player makes the biggest move or is the loudest at the merge, which for me doesn't suit my opinion of you. I feel like that would be more like Saber Bagels, but yeah. So question two, why do you think you were voted out this time?
Well, I mean, like the main thing I was trying to do was to go and try to get Sub out because I knew he was going to be a big player later on, so I want to try and take him out. And I knew that was a bad option because I didn't really consider how multiple alliances with people on like the OG Seaman, I don't know how to pronounce that, camp. So like it kind of backfired on me because I wasn't really thinking about how I could, I guess how I had to consider how other people are playing as well.
hmm which players, if you wanted to give like a top three or something, which players do you think are playing the best right now that are still in the game?
Well, right now, okay, so I'm gonna say number one is TN because he's
hmm
a beast in challenges. Like, what is it? He's won two immunities in a row now.
Two in a row, two
I
in a
know
row.
that it doesn't sound great, but it seems like he's gonna be like a strong person to be, I guess.
hmm
But besides that, I think Another really good contender is Arid, because Arid he's kind of like the Allen of the season. He goes with where like whichever vote he wants, but it's like there comes better decision making than he has like because he's how do I explain it? He's done more. So like I feel like he's gonna pull a big move and that's gonna do well for him.
Hmm.
Okay, so then my third I'd probably put as Up, even though he got voted out, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I really respect Sub's game because it's like, cause he's really he plays really smart. I guess he can analyze like what people are thinking and their skill set and stuff. So I think that's pretty impressive. But then other than that, I think those are my top three.
All right, interesting. So a little bit more of a fun one. What has been your favorite moment or memory or like, I guess thing that happened this season? It can be anything.
Well, I always think the first challenge is the most fun.
Hmm. Did you guys get to VC at all? Well, I remember you're the VC on the first day with you and Lucas. That was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it was pretty
that
funny.
was funny.
I didn't really expect it to like
Oops.
um be a lot, but it was nice.
Mhm. Who do you think is the most or if oh okay I got a good one. If you were on production and you wanted to bring back a somebody that's a newbie for a future season, who would it be and why?
Bones.
Phones.
I
Okay.
mean, like, I'm pretty sure he backstabbed me,
Hmm.
but it's just how the game works, and I think he'd be a really like funny person to play with later or to like see later on.
Hmm. I would agree.
Yeah, I definitely want to invite him
Hmm.
back.
Last up, what's next for Core? What are you doing next in terms of ORGs and
Well,
other stuff?
I definitely want to participate in more. I mean, right now trying to like, I guess like I want to try to start
You're gonna
an
play in Maxes, right?
Max's
Yeah, yeah.
org. Yes, so that's a pretty big plus because I mean, well, it's
Hmm.
Max. And Max is like really funny and stuff. So it'd be nice to see
I
how that
yeah,
plays out.
I think that's gonna be fun. All right, well, thank you, Core. I hope
Yeah.
you get back. But yeah, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.